Alright, my second day here in Mexico. I hope when I get back to work this next week I'll be really recharged and hit the job out of the park, and it will make a great case for why we should work on better scheduling, better work-life balance to the benefit of not only myself but our clients and our tutoring center as a whole. I think if I go back there recharged and hit the job out of the park, it really will make the case. But then I realized that a lot of the people I work with have been set in their own ways, and it serves as a reminder not to grow stubborn as we age. It really does. So what I mean by that, well, one day after class, I had been talking to some of the students and some of my colleagues about how I love all of you guys. I just wish the week could be longer. We should have an 8-day week so I could work with you guys 6 days a week and still take a 2-day weekend. Now, I had a student who's a 4th grader, and he instantly understood how that would work. He was like, oh yeah, I could make use of that too. He has a busy Saturday schedule as well. Not only does he come to see me, but I think he takes a cello lesson and some other things. And he wants to have 2 days off as well. And so he instantly understood how that would work. Now, my boss, who was in his 70s, had a hard time with that. He was like, where would that day come from? You know, what about things that we need to do once a day? You know, what's going to happen to our seasons? He got all confused. How am I going to go to church? He got all confused about how the schedule would work. It's really simple. You would still go to church once a week. It might be once every 8 days, but you know what? It's a good work-life balance, right? I don't think God would be against people having a good work-life balance. You would still the seasons would not be affected by it, right? Where would it come from? Nowhere, right? We just have 8 days in the week, right? And but unfortunately, my boss got all confused about that because he has lived 70 some years following a 7-day week, that he has become stubborn to it, and that's what I want people to avoid doing. Now, one of the frustrations I sometimes get when I tutor is that I want to give an example, right? I'm looking at a math function, or it might be a computer programming concept, and I'm going, like, for example, when you ever do this, like, for example, gas prices, like, could be modeled with this kind of function. What's the price of gas today? I don't know. And you'd be surprised how many little details in life some kids have never paid attention to these days because their parents have seemed to shelter them into their own little corner, if you will. So, for example, in a recipe to cook whatever, I don't know, and that's a big frustration. But at the same time, these kids seem to have a clean slate with anything else, right? How scheduling works, how their future lives could look like, right? They don't lock themselves into the idea that they have to get married, or and then you have some other kids who are insanely curious. So the other day we had needed to replace some batteries in a calculator, and then my boss remembered, oh yeah, he also needs to put new batteries in his smoke detector, and my boss was reaching for the smoke detector. And my student says, you gotta make it quick because smoke detectors are radioactive. You know, don't get too much exposure from that. And that gave me a nice warm fuzzy feeling that he's somewhat curious. There are some kids who don't even know what a smoke detector is, right? But the point I wanted to make is that kids have a clean slate. And it makes me realize that we don't want to get locked into ideologies and beliefs and stubbornly stop seeing everything else, right? Now, it also makes me realize that in the future, when humans start to live longer and longer and our life expectancy starts to approach infinity, this will become a huge problem, right?